"Daddy, I really want that dog. Can we buy it?" she said, her voice filled with quiet longing. What happened next would melt even the coldest heart. The morning sun bathed the quiet town in soft golden light as Officer Mark Evans drove his young daughter, Emma, home after a long night shift. The radio hummed softly, and the world seemed half asleep. But as they neared a small gas station, Emma leaned forward and pointed. "Daddy, can we buy that dog?" she asked, her voice small but hopeful. Mark glanced toward where she pointed. An old man sat by the curb, his face shadowed by exhaustion. His clothes were worn, his hands trembling as he held a cardboard sign that read in uneven letters, "Dog for sale, $5. Beside him sat a thin, dusty German shepherd, ribs showing for tangled. Something about the scene tugged at Mark's chest. The old man didn't look like someone trying to make money. He looked like someone at the end of his rope. The dog wasn't barking or wagging its tail. It just sat quietly, staring at passing cars as if waiting for someone who hadn't arrived yet. But before we dive into what happens next, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from today? Drop your country in the comment below and please like the video. Thank you. Now let's continue. Emma tugged on her father's sleeve again. "Please, Daddy. Look at his eyes. He looks sad." Mark sighed. "Sweetheart, we can't just buy every dog we see." But as he said it, the shepherd rose slowly, and their eyes met through the windshield. Mark froze. The scar across the dog's neck. The faded name tag. The look in its eyes. Mark's heart skipped. The name on the tag read, Shadow. He knew that name. Just 2 months earlier, he'd been investigating a heartbreaking case. A mother and her young son missing after a violent break-in. No suspects, no clear trail. The only clue was a bloody paw print found near the kitchen door. The dog's name on the report had been Shadow. Mark pulled over without a second thought. He got out, heart racing, and approached the old man. "Sir," he began carefully, "where did you find this dog?" The old man looked up, his eyes tired and sunken. "Found him limping near the river about 3 weeks ago. Thought he'd been abandoned. I tried to feed him, but I can barely feed myself. I just want him to have a home." Emma was already kneeling beside the shepherd, her fingers gently brushing his fur. The dog leaned against her, resting his head on her shoulder with a deep sigh, as if he'd finally found peace. "Daddy," she whispered. "He's hungry but he's kind." Mark crouched beside the dog and gently lifted the collar. The metal tag was bent but readable. His stomach tightened. The address engraved there was the same as the missing family's last known residence. Trying to stay calm, he asked, "Sir, did the dog have anything with him? A bag, a toy, anything?" The old man nodded toward a small torn sack beside him. Inside, Mark found a child's bracelet, engraved with the name, Noah. Mark's breath caught. Noah was the missing boy. The dog gave a low whine and pawed at the bracelet, his eyes full of sorrow. It was as if he was pleading with Mark to understand, to follow. That was when everything clicked. "Sir," Mark said quietly, "I need to borrow your dog. I think he's trying to show me something." The man gave a faint smile. "You don't owe me a thing, officer. He's been waiting for you." An hour later, Mark was standing near the dense woods where the family's car had been found abandoned weeks earlier. Shadow sniffed the ground, tail twitching with purpose. Then, without warning, he barked and sprinted into the trees. Mark followed, stumbling through mud and thick undergrowth. The air grew damp and heavy, his uniform catching on branches as he tried to keep up. Shadow ran with unshakable certainty, as if retracing a path he knew by heart. After what felt like forever, the dog stopped near a fallen tree and began digging frantically. Mark dropped to his knees and helped clear the dirt and leaves. Moments later, they uncovered a small makeshift shelter, a hollow space shielded by branches and an old tarp. Inside, trembling and pale, was Noah, clutching a photograph of his mother and Shadow. Tears blurred Mark's vision as he radioed for backup. The boy was weak but alive. As rescue teams arrived, Noah whispered the dog's name again and again, holding onto Shadow's fur like it was the only thing anchoring him to safety. Shadow refused to move from his side. That evening, after Noah was taken to the hospital, Mark drove back to the gas station with Shadow and Emma. The spot where the old man had been sitting was empty. The only thing left behind was the cardboard sign, fluttering gently in the breeze. Emma leaned forward, watching it through the windshield. "Daddy," she said softly. "He wasn't selling the dog. He was just helping him find us." Mark looked at her and nodded, his voice thick with emotion. "You're right, sweetheart. Some things in life can't be bought." Shadow let out a low bark from the back seat, his tail wagging slowly, eyes calm at last. Mark smiled faintly, glancing at the rearview mirror. "He wasn't looking for an owner," he said quietly. "He was looking for someone to finish his story." From that day on, Shadow stayed with the Evans family, not as a pet, but as a survivor, a guide, and a reminder of hope. The bond between them became something beyond words, born from pain but healed through love. Because sometimes the heart doesn't seek to own, it seeks to understand. And sometimes, even a lost dog carries the courage to lead us home. If this story touched your heart, don't scroll away just yet. Take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe to Echoes of Life Stories. Every story we tell is inspired by real emotions, real struggles, and real moments that remind us what it means to care, to hope, and to love. Your support helps us keep bringing these heartfelt stories to life. Stories that heal, inspire, and stay with you long after they end. Speech Balloon, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love seeing how far our stories travel. And remember, every follow means another story finds its home. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe now to Echoes of Life Stories. Because some stories are too beautiful to be forgotten.